Like this. Just one, two. A very good evening, fellow students of University Putra Malaysia, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to AMSA UPM's online talk in accordance with the AMSA UPM's Diabetes Day 2021. Before we begin our session, I would like to kindly remind all the participants from University Putra Malaysia to stay with us till the end of this program, as the merit giving session will be held at the end of the session. Today's event is a talk with a nurse with the theme Nurse Unsung Heroes Fighting Diabetes. As we all know, 2021's Diabetes Day, organized by AMSA UPM, aims to promote the awareness that we can all fight and beat diabetes regardless of where we are and under what circumstances we are put in. As this year's World Diabetes Day's theme is diabetes and nurses, AMSA UPM has come up with the idea to organize this talk to honor nurses and allow all of us to have a glimpse of the lives of nurses who work tirelessly alongside with other medical and healthcare professionals to serve us all. With that brief introduction, now I would like to introduce our guest of honor today, Ms. Joyclyn Ruby Nalla Thambi.
Hi. Hello, Shika.
Hi Akka, can you hear me?
Yes, Shika, I can hear you. Hello.
Hi Akka, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Shika?
I'm doing good too. So, welcome to our talk today. And now I'm going to introduce you to everyone else. So, for your kind information, Ms. Joyce is a senior staff nurse who is working under the Medical Intensive Care Unit in National University Hospital in Singapore. She has a working experience of 12 years. So, Ms. Joyce, tell us what made you choose this profession actually.
Okay, hi, Shika. First of all, thank you for having me here with all of you from UPM. All right, thank you for inviting me. All right, so joining as a nurse. So nursing has never been it was never a job that I wanted to do. It wasn't
Wow,
what I
really?
wanted. Okay, as you know, I wanted to be a doctor actually. All right, end of the
Wow.
day, it was to be a doctor, but due
Mhm,
to circumstances, yes, nursing came into my line. So I have to thank my
mhm,
parents that they are taking me for nursing interviews here and there, and
mhm,
finally, 16 years has passed by, and here I am standing as a nurse in front of you. 3 years being in my
mhm,
nursing and 13 years in my nursing career. So, nursing has been a wonderful journey for me for the past 16 years. So, yeah,
mhm.
tough, enjoyable, memorable, tiring, but awesome journey as
That sounds so pleasant, actually. So, since you told us that you've been in nursing profession for quite a very long time, actually, what do you like the most about your profession? What just makes you feel like I love doing my job every day?
Actually, basically what people see in nursing, so what people see is a nurse, she follows a doctor's rounds, and then they
Yeah.
nurse serving medications, and then they also
Mhm.
nurse as a person who does a ADL for all patients, activities of daily living, bathing them, giving them
Mhm.
serving their food. That's what is a
Mhm.
people's general thought of a nurses would be. Okay,
Yeah.
but if you are in this field, if you are in this career, then you will find out nursing is actually a very fun field job. It's a fun field. It's a kind of an activity being in a healthcare profession. All right.
Mhm.
Nurse, the first thing I enjoy the most, definitely caring for my patients. And
Mhm.
second, I enjoy being a nurse is mentoring new nurses. All right,
Mhm.
a nurse has a varieties of practices, especially in this healthcare. We have
Mhm.
varieties to choose. Being a nurse, a senior staff nurse, and then I can choose to be a assistant nurse clinician or a clinical instructor or being a manager. Plus, I can
Mhm.
pursue to be a vendor under a clinician vendor, or I can even do up my master's being a lecturer, all in one
Mhm.
profession, which is actually a nurse. So, nurse is
Mhm.
just a small word, but the scope of the job that we are doing is actually wide big. So, what I love the
Mhm.
most basically in my profession, in my career, what I see is mentoring new nurses. I love to teach actually. So, I had
Mhm.
many students under me, students in the sense of new graduate nurses. So where we teach them what our daily practices, especially being an ICU nurse. So
Mhm.
when ICU nurse, there's a lot of challenges that you have to face. There's a lot of things that you can do being in ICU. So when you teach the
Mhm.
new nurses every procedures and everything, you tend to learn more first.
Mhm.
Second, your knowledge will retain. Third,
Mhm.
you're building up very good, smart nurses to
Mhm.
become a better future person. Yes,
Mhm.
it's quite fun being a nurse.
That sounds very interesting. I'm very intrigued actually. So, since you mentioned so much about working in the ICU and training nurses, I would just like to ask you, what does it look like a daily, day-to-day job in like a nurse's life? Like, is there like some sort of routine, or does it change every day? Just walk us through your day, actually.
Actually, being a nurse, especially an ICU nurse, our daily life is not the same when it comes to care of
Mhm.
patients in ICU. So basically, I told you what a nurse will do. A general nurse will do is serving medications, following doctor's rounds,
Yeah.
completing all the
Mhm.
paperwork.
Mhm.
Patients. When it comes to ICU patient, what we see is a patient who's really sick. We have to
Mhm.
intubate the patient's incisions of line, and then we will start off our dialysis, our plex treatments, and then patient will be undergoing ECMO. Patient will be going for operation, coming back post us. There is so many things which happens in daily for a ICU patients. So our
Mhm.
daily routine in ICU is actually way much different than what someone can comprehend actually. It's not
Mhm.
easy, and at the same time it's not tough. When you know your job well, you will know the sequence. So even though how tough it is, so the
Mhm.
first thing I question myself when I'm going to go to work, which
Mhm.
patient me, which
Mhm.
patient, which isolation case I'm going to take. Am I supposed to be using PP all day long? All these questions tends to pop up into me. So when you know, okay, I'm going to take this patient assignment today, automatically you will figure out what are my job, what I'm going to do today for this patient, what I
Mhm.
have to, what I will be doing, and end of the day, what matters the most is your satisfaction. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you
that's
have
very
to
true.
know a life of patient in ICU is all about life and death. You must be prepared for life and death. Then your work in ICU for that day will be done smoothly. You will know this is where the patient's journey will go and this is where patient's journey will end. So all the procedures that we're going to carry out, every treatment that's being ordered, when we are carrying it out and when it's completely finished, the satisfaction there is the greatest nurse's day-to-day journey. The satisfaction of your job is the best satisfaction a nurses can get end of the day.
Wow, that really sounds like a roller coaster, but a roller coaster that anyone would want to ride if like they have the passion for it, right? You know how like people always see doctors as heroes, and like after hearing all your experiences, I truly believe that everyone should know and should also praise for nurses for being heroes as well. So, since you mentioned about the challenges you go through every day, I would just like to ask you, what are the pros and cons of your profession actually? And what would you say is the thing that you maybe dislike the most about nursing?
Okay, actually, there are a lot of pros and cons. Once you are nursing, you have an organization on top of you. Okay, so we do have to work closely with the doctors and all other healthcare workers. Yes, the nurses have to work very closely, but on top of it, we have a lot of SOPs, HOPs, WIs, all kinds of policies that we have to follow. At times when you feel when you're taking care of your patients and certain policies applies, when you read open books, when you open book and you read, it is, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to follow. But when it comes to patients real life activities, sometimes it doesn't apply. How can I do what is in the book for the
Mhm.
patient? So the thing I don't
Yeah.
like the most caring for a patient, it's very easy to follow SOP, HOPs, all instructions I can follow well. But when it comes to the field, what I don't like the most is when I watch my patients giving up their hope or when I watch them die. This is the most difficult situation that I actually see in my throughout my nursing career. This 13 years has passed, so during this period of time I've seen many patients giving up hope when they die. So it's a difficult situation because we put all our effort into it. When it comes to an hospital stay, especially ICU stay, I believe the nurses are more attached to the patients because we have our restricted visiting times. So we spend most of the times with the patients, so the family only comes during the visiting hours. So at this time, we knows what is the best for the patient, what the patient wants the most, what is their desires, what is their liking. So we do all our best for them. But end of the day, when they give up, they can't take the treatment, they can't take their pain, they can't endure their sorrows. So when they give up, it really hurts us a lot. And there are times, we shed tears even before the family could even shed tears when we see a patient just go off like that. So I just hope patients will never give up in their life during their stays in the hospital. Yeah.
That sounds really, it really shows that you're not just a sympathetic person, but you're also empathetic person. And I believe most nurses out there are like that. And like it must be really stressful, it must be really painful, right? So when you go through situations like this, stressful, painful, tiring situations, how do you cope with it? How do you deal with your work environment that is very stressful every day?
Yeah, actually, nursing life can be very, very stressful. We see kinds of characters. Stress in the sense of an example of stress when a patient's family members attempt to ask us questions. Why is it like that? When the question comes out why, you must be able to answer them. Why is this happening? So when it comes to a disease related, we can answer, but why are they not picking up? Why are they not turning back to a good condition? Sometimes it's very difficult. Despite us answering them, they can't accept that. So it is very stressful when family members shout to you. It is very stressful when the doctors they shout back to you. It is very stressful when you have to endure what your nursing manager says. Oh, you have done this mistake, so and so. So you have to go through this punishment. You have to go for counseling. You have to go for this. All these are very stressful. But how can a nurse cope this? End of the day, I'm still the nurse. I still have to care for. So how can I do it? The best thing you have to do is you have to be very patient. My mom used to tell me one thing: nursing is a noble profession, so you also must be a noble person. So to become a noble person is actually not easy when you have a different character of yourself. But once you are already in the, you will automatically change. So you will have to find a good partner to talk. So when you and your working colleague especially be sailing on the same boat, they understand what is your intention like. So they will understand this is your intention, this is what you wanted to do, but things has gone off hand. So this can be done better this way. So when you start talking to your friend, you exchange mutual exchange understandings, you will
Mhm.
have a better picture, a clearer picture on how you can cope your stress. It's good you can go out with your friends, you can actually have a dinner meals together, uh, you go for some games, some bowlings or whatever. You let go of your stress. Don't think of your work. All my only one thing: when I'm at work, nobody should call me and disturb me of private matters. But when I'm out of the hospital, nobody should call me from the hospital and ask about, that's how you should
Mhm.
focus on your work. Actually, when it comes to patient, you just focus, have people to talk with, and a smile will just do. Even how much a patient can be very rude, very aggressive towards you, you just need to do one thing: just smile. Just
Mhm.
smile and walk away. End of the day, when you close your ICU door and you walk out, you just can see the smile. Thank God the day is over, and I will start back a new day. So patience matters the most. You have to have a lot of patience enduring all kinds of tough, stressful situations at work. Yeah.
Well, yeah, at the end of the day, we are all humans, but just like how we see healthcare professionals as like more than just a human, and people tend to have like unrealistic expectations sometimes. It's understandable, but I'm pretty sure you must have had a lot of experiences, be it like memorable, like bitter or sweet. So, could you share with us like some of your bittersweet memories as a nurse and like throughout this profession?
Oh, okay. Actually, 15 years have passed. A lots of memories. A lots of memories means definitely good memories. There's a lot. Uh,
Mhm.
Basically what good memories every nurses will have is when someone turns around, when before they could leave the ICU, the family members, when they come and tell you, oh, thank you so much, for caring for my mom, or for my dad, or my family members, they are being very appreciative. But there's
Mhm.
this one incident, because currently we are going through a lot of COVID patients, right? So we
Mm, yeah.
do COVID patients in daily basis. So there's while I was commuting, and
Mhm.
happened to be I was sitting. It's very difficult to get place in the train when it comes to the peak hours, but I managed to get a seat there. And then
Mhm.
suddenly I find this one guy staring right at me on my left. So I keep looking at him, and then he did not take his eyes out of me. He just keep
Oh,
looking
that's
and
scary.
yeah, it was a bit scary. And then at the
Mhm.
time, a bit weird as well. But I just kept.
Mm.
I know he's sitting next to me, but I just didn't bother about him that much. He still kept looking at
Mhm.
me. It was very obvious that he's looking at me. Suddenly he
Mm.
shouted, "Oh, you are the nurse. You are the ICU nurse." It gave me a shock. I said, "Yes."
Okay, wow.
And
He
then
recognized.
his expression was, "Don't you remember me?" I was like, "No, I don't even know who you are." "Oh, you are my nurse. You are my nurse. You took care of me."
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
really sweet. Oh,
"Really?"
wow.
And then he said, "I was your positive COVID patient." I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, got a positive COVID, good." So how are you doing? And then he said, "He's getting better, he's fine." And he said, "Thank you, thank you." Then I said,
Wow.
"When you got admitted in my ICU?" He said, "Last year March." It's like, wow,
Mm.
that's been almost a year and you can still remember me. That was quite nice to know. And he said, "Thank
Mm.
you for saving me. Back then I was quite ill, I was ventilated, and then you managed to extubate me, and you took a good care of me, you and your colleagues all as well. So thanks for that." So this is kind of a good memory that I had. And then
Mm.
I too had a patient who's like a 3-year-old girl came in for septal defect, went
Okay.
for a bypass open heart surgery. So when she went for this, she was just a 3-year-old girl. It was quite difficult to see. This was in year 2009 back in Pantai
Mm.
Hospital. So looking at this, we really struggled a lot caring for this 3-year-old girl. But end of the day, after 30 days being in my ICU, she did pull through. She did pull through, but
Wow.
have some syndromes and all. Few years
Mm.
after that, around in 2014, I happened to go to a mart, and then the mom came to me, approaching me, saying that, "You are a nurse from Pantai Hospital?" I said, "Yes, I am." And then she said, "I'm Yaya's mom." And she said, "My daughter survived because of all your cares that you've given." And then it strikes me, oh yeah, this was the 3-year-old girl, and now today she's already 17 years old, and the mom still
Wow.
keeps most of us. So this kind of memories will never be forgotten, because we don't need gifts, we don't need any appreciative cards, but the word of thank you means a lot to us actually. Yes.
Mhm.
Quite
That
memory. Yeah.
that sounds really wholesome, especially when someone comes to you appreciating you for all the hard work and like effort you put in to save their lives, right? It sounds really wholesome. I just feel so happy hearing all this from you actually.
Correct.
So back to our topic today, which is like nurses and diabetes, right? So kind of like this is a question relating to our topic today. What do you think actually about the rising numbers of diabetes cases in our country or like all around the world, and like why do you think this is happening?
Okay, diabetes is actually on the rise. So everyone should know. A latest study made on diabetes. All right. So latest study made early last year. This took place in Malaysia. Early last year they took. So prevalence of 2.8 million studies was actually done, but the total respondents was about 20,000 respondents who actually participated in this diabetic. So what we actually find out is diabetic has been on the hike. Diabetes, due from World Health Organization, it has been brought out that, especially in Asia,
Mm-hmm.
the ethnic group which is actually involved more in this diabetic will be starting with the Indians, followed by the Malays, and then by the Chinese. Especially, they're all affected with this type 2 diabetes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So this diabetes is not only highest in Asian country, but the the value that we have got it from our Malaysia is one of the highest in the world as well. So why is it rising? How does this actually affects the body? Everyone, every public, every lay person should know what diabetes is. Okay, everybody
Mm-hmm.
just thinks diabetes means high sugar, so I just take my insulin or tablet, it will get cured. No, diabetes has got a lot that you can't imagine where it can actually lead you. Everyone should know diabetes rise now. Not only the person who is aged more than 40 years old, but also children's or adolescents 18 years old and above already start having this diabetes problem. So we have both type 1 and type 2 diabetes which is actually taking place. So I think we will know type 1 diabetes, your body doesn't produce insulin, whereas type 2 diabetes, your diabetes, it doesn't respond to the insulin when they
Mm-hmm.
should apart, when they should respond. So what are the symptoms? What I think a lay person should know about diabetes, they must know the symptoms of diabetic in the first place. All right, symptoms like frequent urinating, feeling thirsty, drinking a lot of waters, feeling hungry, fatigue, having blurring of visions as well. So all these are the symptoms that everyone should know. Everyone should take it into consideration. Everyone should put more cautious about having diabetes. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when we see what are the causes of diabetes, it can be hereditary as well. Plus, when you have no proper productions of insulin taking place, so that's where your body fat burns. Okay, your body fat burns, and then you lose your muscle fatigue, you use of muscle fatigueness, and then you have numbness, tingling sensations in your hands. So all these are the diabetic signs and symptoms where people should know. So we in the healthcare work, we as the healthcare workers or in the healthcare line, we must be able to know what are the patients educations that we should give for them to be very cautious about this diabetes. And
Mm-hmm.
not only in Malaysia but also in other countries, diabetes has already been in the state. It's in the
Yeah.
state. It's actually being very fatal nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And a normal people, what they take into consideration is my doctor is actually in charge of controlling my diabetes. It's not my responsibility, it's my doctor's responsibility. I don't think that is a correct thing to be done. It is not the doctor's, neither the nurse's job to do it. It is only a care that I can do when you are in the hospital, but when you are at
Mm-hmm.
home, it's your own
Mm-hmm.
responsibility to take care of your diabetes. It's for you to take care of your sugar levels, for you to
Mm-hmm.
know what can be done, what cannot be done, what you're prone of having. So this is all a normal person's responsibility. They should take responsibility of their own conditions. And then I
Mm-hmm.
could also tell you about the both these two types of diabetic. what can it cause end of the day, what kind
Okay.
of signs symptoms it gives for the normal person, um,
Mhm.
how it affects our day-to-day routine. When we have
Mhm.
diabetic, how it affects our day-to-day routine. People taking insulins at home, they have to be competent in using pens, injecting themselves, or regularly taking the diabetic medications. So all this they have to put. But there are people who don't know the seriousness of it. Having diabetic, they can also have seizures, loss of
Mhm.
consciousness, and
Mhm.
also death. And then chronic, diabetic is either acute or chronic. So when it
Mhm.
comes to chronic levels, it can actually affect their vital organs, their
Yeah.
eyes, their kidneys, their heart, their skins. But people doesn't seem to go to that far. They just think, oh, my sugar is too high, so I just less sweetness in my tea or in my coffee. That doesn't really help. So I think all this prevalence they should take into consideration. They should know all the five wives and one husband questions. They should ask themselves, what is diabetic, why it happens, when it happens, where it happens, who are the person getting involved, and how to get treated. If you ask yourself all these questions, actually being a lay person, you can actually get it done better.
Mhm.
So you can also know that we have hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia. That means high
Yeah.
sugar and low sugars. So for a lay person, for a hypoglycemia, so when a patient is having low blood sugars, what I would teach the patient, like, so, or what I could teach a lay person. So I could say that, oh, if you're having a blurry vision, rapid heartbeats, or headache, you are shaking or dizziness, maybe you are having hypo, maybe sugar in your body is not enough, there's not adequate of sugar. So you can experience having fainting, seizures, or even coma. You can go comatose in this level. So this kind of teaching has to be emphasized on every patient or a lay person. So we also talk to them about ketoacidosis. They should know about ketoacidosis. It might sound on medical term, but they must know the meaning behind it. So ketoacidosis, when a complication occurs during diabetes on our body. So when our keto bodies does not work, you also will know you can lead into dehydration, abdominal pain, or just because I did not eat, or just that. But you must know a ketoacidosis can lead into dehydration, abdominal pain, and also patients can have breathing problems as well. Not only that, the the rising things of this diabetes has also now lead to many eye problems, especially cataracts and glaucoma. So when patient comes in with cataracts and glaucoma, they just think, oh, uh, this is just a drop of the eye, or this is just because my parents also had it, that's why I'm having it. But none of them is actually thinking of preventing it from happening. Nobody wants to prevent, they just accept the fact that, oh, my family had it, so it's okay for me to have it. No, they don't take into consideration the prevention. So having glaucoma, there's no blood flow to your optic nerves, no blood flow to your retina, so you will have glaucoma as well. And then patient also goes into diabetic retinopathy. So all these kinds of patients actually I see in ICU. But when it comes to health educations, when we give the health educations, not everybody wants to accept it. Okay,
Mhm.
will have to accept when some people they are in denial stage. Commonly it's very common to have denial stage. Oh no, it's actually I'm not having diabetes, it's just that I took sugar yesterday, I took this much of rice, I took coffee, that's why my sugar is very high. It can be one of the reason, but that doesn't mean the insulin in your body change over within 24 hours. It
Yeah.
can be something that you have to look into consideration, so you will have to get yourself treated. So especially now I see the rising diabetes has actually caused more to macular disease, glaucoma, cataracts. So people are losing their vision. I think this diabetic kidney disease also coming very high. In diabetic, this diabetic kidney disease is becoming higher in stage, where people are going into renal failures. So all these are a very important thing that we have to look into consideration. And if you ask me why these things take place, is because negligence. Nobody is actually care bothered about their health care at this moment, because our current lifestyle is very different, especially our food.
Yeah.
I can be in one place and I can just order food,
Mm-hmm.
either grab food or panda or whatever, it just comes to my doorstep,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need whatever food, whatever fast food, everything is just on the stick. Whatever you need, you can just get it done immediately. So being like this, nobody is they there are patients who even tell us we live only once, so it's okay, we can just enjoy whatever we want to have. Actually, people are failing to understand, you live every day, you die only once. All right, you must
That's right.
remember, you live every day, you don't get a chance to live every day once you die. So
Yeah.
they, yeah, so they always have this concept of I live once, so I should enjoy my life once a lifetime. No, it's wrong. You live every day, so every day live a good life. You should be healthy, because a situation when we see ordinary people outside, it's different. You see everybody is walking, talking, smoking, drinking, everybody is leading a normal life. But when it comes to an hospital life, it's not what you see outside. Being in the hospital daily, seeing people dying, struggling, you have to resuscitate them, you'll have to intubate them, sugar levels picking up. I love pricking patients, but do you like me pricking you? I love seeing blood oozing out, but I'm
I'm
very
sure
sure
not
you
everyone would like that.
there are people who called me the vampire. They used to call Joyce, come, you insert line, insert line. So we love doing our job, but end of the
Yeah.
day, you are putting your own life in risk. So I think every person out there should take diabetes very, very seriously. Diabetic is raising very high, especially from Malaysia. It's one of the highest in the world, especially,
Yeah.
from Indians, Malays to the Chinese. The diabetic rate is actually going up. And if you don't take care now, a
Mm-hmm.
study has been done late last year. This study shows in coming another 4 years, by 2025, at
Mm-hmm.
least 30 millions of Malaysians will have diabetic starting of age 18. So 30 million is not a small figure, and to treat,
Humongous figure.
yes, it's a humongous figure. So I think everybody should take it very serious of what diabetic is and how to get treated, and please follow the treatment here. It's very, very important for them to know
Mm-hmm.
all these things.
Mm-hmm. So, Ms. Joyce, you mentioned earlier about like how our lifestyle is not like how our ancestors' lifestyle used to be, like our grandparents or like great grandparents, right? So, I just like would like to ask out of curiosity, do you think that healthy lifestyle alone can help prevent diabetes from occurring? Because usually it's diabetic is not always genetically related. This is what some people believe in, right? So, do you think like having a healthy and like balanced lifestyle would all save us from getting diabetes one day? What do you think about this?
By only maintaining healthy lifestyle may not, but it can help to prevent or reduce the number of increasing diabetes. Yeah, because there are so many cause factors why you can have diabetes, let alone it be hereditary or family background or whatever. Even
Mm-hmm.
your lifestyle also and can cause this diabetic. But not only that, if you end up having a blood vessel damage by any
Mm-hmm.
accidents or whatever, or wrong medications, consumptions of wrong medication. Nowadays people go for TCM.
Yeah.
Even that can actually cause of diabetic rise as well. It can cause nerve problems, it can cause food or skin damages, or wrong medication can cause neuropathy as well. All this is because the underlying will be a diabetic. From this diabetic you can go to so many various problems. So lifestyle may not be the only one can prevent, not only the only one can stop us from having diabetes, but it can be one of the main cause factor that can prevent us from having diabetes. So to practice a healthy lifestyle, yes, nowadays food, as I told you, it's on the stick. Anything that we have, everything is very nice. You learn to eat. I think I learned to eat a lot of foods
Mm-hmm.
rather than me cooking a lot of foods. There's whatever you need is just everywhere that you can get it. You can get
That's true.
whatever, but you will have to have some self-consciousness. You will have to care for yourself first. You must have the feelings that you don't want to die sick. You must live healthy. You don't want to, for a lay person, I don't think so. A lay person knows how a patient dies in the hospital. A person was talking to me today, tomorrow they are no more. I don't know
Yeah.
if someone can accept it. Me being a nurse, I can't accept it. This person was just fine, suddenly arrested, then suddenly the next moment in the hospital, the next moment they are no more. But the journey when they go through this, and when you see why was patient admitted, admitting diagnosis, diabetes. Diabetes can kill, but people don't take it into seriousness. So I think they should actually change their lifestyle, at least for themselves. You need not please people by living what they want and harming yourself. You should live a life to please your own self. Nobody knows yourself better than anybody. So your lifestyle matters the most. Your food intake, especially your food intakes, and the food intake is the main thing that you should know what you should take. Yeah, it's very important on that. So I think not only lifestyle, but it can help. It may not completely prevent, but it can help reduce. Yes.
Mhm. Well, that's really great. I think we've like discussed a lot of things about diabetes, but now like we have another dire situation, especially in Malaysia with the increasing number of cases every day with four digits. And like you did mention that you're ICU nurse, right? And I'm pretty sure that while you were in ICU, you must have encountered a lot of COVID patients, like the one that greeted you in when you were commuting in the commuter, right? So it must be like playing with fire because you're putting your own life at stake, like while treating these patients, because anything could happen to you. So what kind of impact did it take on your work, especially when you were dealing with COVID patients every day, when like there were a lot of cases in Singapore? Maybe how did it impact you, and like what did it cost you in your like work life or like your day to day life?
Okay, COVID-19. COVID-19 is something that I didn't like it. I am not liking it, and
I
I
think
will.
nobody likes it.
So COVID-19 is something that it's a big impact in everybody's life. I don't know where it came from. I don't know who created it, but I just don't like it. So COVID-19
Yeah.
is torture, but me being a healthcare worker in as a frontliner, especially, it's a proud moment that I'm actually a nurse. Why I would
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19, spreading of this coronavirus has actually taught a lot of good and also bad lessons. Okay, let's talk about the good things first. The good things of having COVID-19 is all healthcare workers are on demand now. Every
Yeah.
hospital are on demand.
Yeah.
So we are the most wanted people everywhere on
We're the
earth. We are
heroes now.
working. Yes, we are the unsung heroes, right? So everyone appreciate nurses. Everyone say thank you. So it's like, wow, okay, but why should someone say thanks to me while spreading the virus? It's quite difficult. So what is the benefit? What I feel nice of having COVID-19 is we were brave enough to endure that situation, knowing that, oh, this is a positive COVID-19 patient.
Mhm.
So a COVID-19, we know it's airborne, it can be spread at any time, but I still have to face this kind of patient.
Yeah.
So day to day, when we receive everyday basis, daily basis, we receive cases like that when it came to an hike and a sudden hike. So daily
Mhm.
positive cases coming in. So what we saw, it was like, um, how are we using our PPEs, our PAPR? Until I used to tell my friends, sharp nose bridge is going to be flattened soon because of wearing the N95 mask. I'm not going to use this anymore. It's going to spoil my nose. So really facing them, treating them, but we were bold enough to fight it. We know we were properly secured. Our organization secured us very well. All PPEs was very well provided, so we were bold enough. All I have to do is just make a small prayer. Lord, please protect me from this virus. I don't want to die out of this virus, because I have my
Mhm.
family to take care as well. So that one small prayer would be just nice, then my day is complete. Even though I'm taking care
Mhm.
of patients, I have to run the show. It's okay, no problem, I'll just run the show, take care of the patients. End of the day, we take our shower, we go home. and it's just that.
Mhm.
So it was very nice that I have the experience dealing with a positive patients, saving
Mhm.
positive patients, and and I also get to meet a positive patient while
Wow.
commuting. This is all a good
Yeah.
experience. But how it
Mhm.
has affected my life badly means, yes, it keeps us away from our family as well. There is no communications with families, friends, loved ones, your relatives, and then there is
Mhm.
no normal life. Everybody elsewhere now has got no normal life. We used to
Yeah.
drive, to go out, we used to hang around. There's nothing, there's no more. This thing has restrained everything. It has contained us at home. Usually we contain every sickness in a cluster. Now humans have to cluster themselves in a different manner. So
Mhm.
the 360 degrees turnover, and the most saddest thing about COVID is when we have to witness our patients die. A foreign patient has to die. We had to make a live video call to the family. The wife has to talk on the phone, and she knows that's the husband's last moment, so she keeps talking and talking. Patient is ventilated, but patient is still seeing. And the last word she said, "Now mind you go, I will join you, I will join you soon." And immediately
Wow.
the patient died. It was
Wow.
a very sad moment seeing, and we have seen many patients dying like that. It was not easy, but it has to pass by. This time has to go off. So we hope this situation resolves as soon as possible. We don't want anyone dying out of COVID, and we also have to take care of ourselves and also our loved ones. So this COVID-19 is very naughty, but it has taught us very good lessons in life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it. COVID-19, I don't like it, but I have to still endure it until the world comes stable to it. Yes.
Just fingers crossed, hoping it will go away soon. And you did mention about now how, like, everyone appreciates people in the healthcare profession, appreciate nurses and doctors, because we used to pedestalize so much of like superheroes that we see on posters, be it Marvel or Justice League, and now like we are seeing superheroes every day in like
Correct.
hospitals, right?
Yes.
So I just would like to ask you, with all this pandemic going on, what do you think? What is your opinion about the future of your nursing profession? Do you think it has a bright future, or do you think everything, when everything settles down, people will not look at it as how they used to look at it?
Oh, so the future of nurses, as if you want to know the actual answers, nurses has got future everywhere, all over the earth actually. So once
Mhm.
this pandemic is over, I think nurses will have more brighter opportunities coming in. They want the nurses to be there. It's my personal opinion. So n- future nurses, yeah, it's very important. These nurses not only um, they can care in the hospital, but actually they
Mhm.
can move into community and mingle
Mhm.
around people. You know,
Mhm.
having nurses a future is very important. Nurses future is totally different, and it's at stake. So now nursing profession is the one of the most wanted profession where everywhere on earth actually. Yeah, so in future you will see, now we are going into IT technological world, right? So now how we do, no doubt we care for patient, we hands on patient, but all our data, our communications, our reports, everything is all on computers. Everything is computerized already, but computers can't do everything for a patient. You can't ask a robot to care for a patient. End of the day, it's robot, it never has a touch of a patient, of a human. So being a nurse, a healthcare professions, the social determinations on ground for nurses is very bright. So nursing can go up in their progression level will be very high. Their education level, they can pursue their education level, their masters, their degrees, their masters, their PhD, and then everything will be automated in clinical data records. So the role of a nurse's response in emergencies, and it impacts the healthcare qualities in a very higher level. So for me, nursing profession has a very, very bright and prosperous future. The prospect is very high, and working in the field with communities, with patient, with layperson, or with patients in the hospitals is at the stake. A nurse is definitely, definitely very important in future, and it will be always the most important given work. If you asked me, healthcare nursing is the very most important healthcare works needed. Yes, so it will be a bright future for all nurses out there.
That's really nice to hear, actually. And I think that's all I have to ask you today. That was like really wonderful hearing you talk. And like before we move on to the question and answers session, because I'm pretty sure like our audience must have like some burning questions. Would you like to say anything like to wrap everything up? Like anything that you'd like to say?
Okay, so end of the day, I would just like to say thank you for supporting all the heroes, not only the nurses but also the doctors, all healthcare professions, and especially during this time. Thank you for always trusting us. It's very important to trust whom you're going to work with. So thank you for trusting all the heroes out here. Stay safe, be safe, and COVID is rising very high in Malaysia. So yeah, have your mask, have your sanitizers on. So be safe and thank you very
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences with us, Ms. Joyce. It was indeed our pleasure hearing all these from you. I'm sure our audience must have gotten inspired by everything that you just said. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the question and answer session begins now. You can now post your burning questions for Ms. Joyce in the comment section on YouTube Live.
Can doctors be more
Okay, we
understanding
have
to?
our first question by Shagan Garnet. Hi there, Miss. How can doctors be more understanding towards nurses and how to avoid any miscommunications between them? Thank you.
Okay, hi Shagan, thanks for your question. So how can doctors be more understanding towards nurses? Actually, I've got experience working in private sector. I worked in Pantai Medical Sector Center for 11 years, So I worked all the time with consultants. So no doubt your hospital will have policies and HOPs to follow, but when it comes to work, when it comes to treatment, you will have to follow consultant's order. So how to have understanding that currently I'm working in a government sector, so it was two total different things. So how does a mutual understanding being born or being built among doctors and nurses is very important. So there are doctors who ask us, is this the right way for me to do it? Is this the right way for me to order this medication? When you ask, we can give you an answer, because why do they ask us is due to the experience. You can be a new fresh grad, things might be very fresh in your mind, but when it comes to experience talks louder. So no, so we will have a chance to inform the doctors, oh no doctor, you are supposed to order things such a way, you are supposed to do it this the way, so we can get it right on this time. But that's not everyone who wants to communicate. It can be either the doctor or the nurse. you know they will, when it comes to a verbal order, so once a verbal order is given, and let's say the verbal order is not a correct verbal order, and then that's where a problem starts. Oh, you are the one who said this, I am the one who said this, when there is nothing written down. So this actually leads into miscommunications. So to avoid all this, it's just that all doctors and nurses must be in one boat. It can be done. Miscommunications or misunderstandings can be avoided when you want to be in the same boat. When you plan, oh yeah, I should follow, I should listen, because it has been always being practiced, so that's how I should follow. But if you have suggestions, you're always welcome to share your suggestion. Can we do it in this way? So it would be very nice for them to know. So doctors can be more understanding towards the nurses. Yes, they can always be more understanding towards the nurses, and they should just trust themselves and accept every suggestions that being given. So this will avoid any misunderstanding or miscommunications. Yes.
Thanks, Ms. Joyce, and thank you, Shagan, for the question. Next question from Nurin Hanusa. Are there a chance for diabetic patient to be completely free from diabetics? I think that's what she meant.
Okay. Thanks, Noreen, for your questions. I have seen actually patients who is completely free from diabetes. Yes, this is when the patients takes their responsibility to actually care for themselves. When they start taking initial treatment, they follow up their treatments, because some people believes that, oh, I should just cut off sugars at home. So yeah, maybe this one can help me reduce. But when there's someone is bold enough to walk into the hospital and they start taking up treatments, initial state when they go for the treatments, they follow the regular medications, they control their diets, they follow the food diet which is being suggested to them. And when they can control themselves from moving about like a normal person is doing, exercising more, this can actually help them to be free from diabetic. I have patients who actually say, I was a diabetic patient and I was on diabetic medications before, but now I'm completely free for 10 years, I'm free for 12 years, I'm free of diabetic for 6 years. So there actually is chance for someone to be free from diabetics. So it is all on your own effort. So right treatment at the right time and the right decision made, definitely there is chances for you to be free from it. I'm very sure about it. Yes.
That sounds like light of hope at the end of the tunnel, actually. It's a really nice question. Thank you for the answer, Ms. Joy. And thanks, Noreen, for the question. Next question from Joshua Anthony Sami from UPM. Good evening, Miss. Do nurses feel mentally disturbed or irritated when your patients are disrespectful and do not cooperate with the treatment given? Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Joshua, for your question. Oh, actually, this is a very good questions. Do nurses feel mentally disturbed? Oh, it's very, very irritating, actually. Not only mentally disturbed, but it's actually a very irritating moment when your patient is disrespectful, when your patient is shouting, because end of the day, how how your patients is behaving with you, you just have to endure it. So there are nurses who feel very agitated. Not to talk about any other nurses, I can talk about myself. I do feel very, very annoyed, very agitated when there's patients, when there are mentally disabled patients. Some patients who's not they want to do it, but it's their condition that actually make it happen. So we nurses have to endure. They start shouting, they start pulling out tubes, and there are patients who pull out even the central lines. End of the day, you nurses will be have to answer to your doctors, plus you will have to answer to your nursing managers. You'll have to go for your counseling sessions. You'll have to sign in these forms, that forms. You will be looked on like, oh, she's not competent enough to take care of this patient. So it is very annoying, it is very irritating. And um sometimes, yes, they are not cooperative of the treatments. I also like recently had a patient whose sugar was just BSL count was just 3.3. So we are supposed to give a dextrose, and we are supposed to start her on diabetic diets and all. And she just said, you no need to check my sugar count anymore, you just give me food, I'll just be fine. She declined all treatment for at least 48 hours. She just didn't there are many Google doctors. When we ask her, where did you think of about doing this and having this, she said, I already Googled up. You have already trusted Google, but you still want to sit in the hospital. This kind of patients can be so annoying. We can't take it, but end of the day, I just have to, oh, it's okay, ma'am, it's okay, ma'am. I have to smile, and I just, God, I have to be so patient within me. It is actually very annoying. So yeah, when they don't cooperate with us, we do feel mentally disturbed. So this is the time that I said you'll have to find a good partner who's in the same boat with you, to talk, to voice out, to share. So you can actually ease all your problem, and you settle down, you get calm down yourself. Yeah, so it's actually a good question though.
Definitely not a joke that nursing
Yeah.
profession is really a tough one. Thank you, Joshua, for the question, and thanks, Ms. Joy, for answering the question. And next is from Mohana Anandan. Hi, Miss. What was nursing school like for you, and what advice would you give to medical students? Thank you.
Ah, what was nursing school like? Yeah, actually, nursing school, 3 years of nursing school was quite fun. You get to have lots of friends from many states. I have friends from other countries as well. So nursing school was a good journey. No, 3 years. That's going to be your first time going out of your house, right? So I left my house. I joined nursing in 2005 December. So that's where my nursing journey started in 2005. So yeah, I had to meet a lots of friends, so many cultures, so many characters, so many attitudes. It's different from your school life, it's different from your childhood friends, it's different from your school life, but this time it's all many states, many cultures, many different characters of nursing. So competitive, there will be a lots of competitions. We don't show it, we are all friends, but there's definitely a competition with all your friends. We are very competitive in studies, in exams, when especially it comes to OSCE. You want to pass, oh no, you are failing this, you fail this, you fail that papers. The failures of individual exams or failures of your OSCEs, it it's not a nice journey though. And then during this nursing period of time is where you learn a lot of good and bad things as well. You experience a lot of good and bad things, because I've stayed in KL during my nursing time for 10 years. So I've seen a lot of good and bad things during the nursing, how my seniors react to us, which seniors, how we look up on our seniors. Oh, this seniors is very cranky person. Oh, this senior is a very nice person. So how does a person do service from heart? So nursing school was quite fun. Even though we were all girls, we had only one gentleman in our class, so the rest all of us were girls, but we were all very attached to each other. So we learned a lot of good and bads, we shared a lot of good and bads, we experienced a lot of good and bads together. And for a medical student, I think you are already in the field. So what advice I would like to give all the medical students is enjoy this moment, because once this life, your medical years, your 5 or 6 years of medical student life ended, it's not coming back. So enjoy every moment that you are having now. Study smart, you know um, do all your best, and during all your internships or your practical moments, learn a lot of things, have fun, and uh, regard life as the most important thing. Yeah, the most important advice I would give is regard each and every patient's life as a very important thing in your life. So put yourself in every patient's shoes, in every patient's family's shoes, and that's how you're going to carry on your life in all these other coming years. So everything that you're going to learn in your medical school is what you're going to do in future. So in future, I'm going to work with you, because when you are going to become a doctor in future, as a nurse, it can take so many years for me to be a nurse. Whatever experience, I will still be working under you and also with you. So what you're going to do in future matters a lot. So as a medical student, I'm wishing you all the best, and have fun, enjoy your medical student life very well. Yeah.
Those are some golden advices to all medicos out there. I hope you guys heard that. Thanks, Mohana, and thanks, Ms. Joyce. I think we have another question from Fidelia Margaret Francis. Hello, what are the most common complications of diabetes patient, especially elderly, need to take precaution of, and how do they control their diabetes since they're old?
Okay, so common diabetic complications. Actually, I can give you about nine examples. So, actually, it's a very good question. Thanks, Videlia, for your question. So, common complications or common sign and symptom. First, we'll see about this common sign and symptoms. When you have a when you have diabetic starting in you. So, what are the complications of diabetes that you can see? The first thing is a sudden weight loss. Okay, a sudden weight loss happens when your body doesn't produce insulin, or your cells don't get enough glucose for the energy. That's time your body starts burning the fat, and your fat and your mass productions will be very less. That's why you will have a sudden weight loss. Okay, so that's the first complications that we can see. Next, we can also see diabetes complication, especially for the elderly. You can see darkening skin around your neck. So the elderly people will face all this darkening skin around their neck. Mostly it's for the type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, they will have all these darkening skins. It is known as the acanthosis nigricans. Okay, so this is the term they use, acanthosis nigricans, and it's a possible signs of diabetes, especially for the elderly people. So there will be dark patches all over your neck, very rare in your armpit and also in your groin areas. So this one shows insulin resistance for the elderlies. And then there third, you can have complications of diabetes like fruity smelling breath. You will have some fruity smelling breath, or even like nail polish. This is because during your insulin, okay, when your fat is broken down, when your fat is broken down, that's the time when your insulin does not support. You will have the fruity smelling or the nail polish smell in your mouth. So if you are experiencing it, or you can see somebody else is experiencing it, it is better to have immediate consultation with a specialist or a doctor. Immediately get a treatment seat, because this can be the early warning sign of diabetes as well, especially it happens among the elderlies. And then blurring of vision, as we have spoken earlier on, one of the highest diabetic causes are eye problems, glaucoma, cataracts, blurring of vision. So blurring of vision is one of the effect, especially for the elders. Some people who's now more than 40 years old can already having it. They are 40 years old is not elders, but now they are coming into that stage already. So a person with diabetes may experience blurry visions due to fluctuations that can cause the eye lens to swell. So this is one of the reasons. And the fifth complications of diabetics is recurring infections. When you have diabetes, your immune system takes a hit. Okay, so there are higher chances, especially for the women, to have vaginal infections or even skin infections. Okay, because why? There are a lot of sugars traveling in your bloodstreams. Okay, when there's a lot of sugars traveling in bloodstreams, it becomes harder for the white blood cells to fight the germs. So that's where you are prone to have more infections. Next, you can have pain in your limbs, okay, both your upper and lower limbs. So high blood glucose level can actually damage the nerve fibers throughout your body. So it affects the nerves in your hands, in your legs, and then it also gives you burning sensation all over the time. So it starts with your leg, your hand, your mouth, all this kind of, especially this pain in limbs, the irritation sensation, tingling sensation. This happens in the elderlies most of the time. And then when they start having wounds, so the seventh will be delayed wound healing. So when you start having a wound or a cut, so you will experience your wound is taking some time, it's taking a prolonged time to heal. So especially this happen in the elderlies when they have a cut or a nail pierced in them. So it will take a delayed time for them to get healed. So these are the symptoms that your sugar levels in your blood is extremely on a higher stake already. And then for the elderlies, the complications of diabetes is unintentional or unexplained mood swings. They can have mood swings when high blood sugar or low blood sugar. It is really unexplained, the mood swing it takes place. Okay, and last but not least, for this kind of diabetic patients, especially the elderlies, they'll have nauseations and vomiting as well. So this is because due to the excess flow of sugar in your bloodstream, your nerve damage takes place, right? So when you are eating, your food doesn't travel properly into your stomach to your intestines. So when that doesn't happen, it regurgitates. When it regurgitates, you will have vomiting and also nauseation. So these are the 9 main points actually for the elderlies that you should know. You will have to take notes. So these are the common complications of diabetic patients, especially the elderlies. And so how they are going to control is regular your regular follow-up. So let's say the doctor suggests you should be on a long-term insulins or your diabetic tablets. You will have to follow cut downs on your sugar contents on your food, your lifestyle balance, exercising. All this actually really helps. Yes.
All right, thank you, Ms. Joyce, for the answer, and thank you, Fidelia, for the amazing question. And I believe the next question will be our last question, and it's from Melvinder Kaur Pratam saying, "Hi, Sister Joyce. I would like to ask you what advice would you give for gestational diabetes mellitus patient? Thank you."
Hi, Malvinder. Thank you for your question. So, for gestational diabetes mellitus patient, it's just the same. Okay, so gestational it happens periodically. So, this kind of patients they have to go on. It's not prolonged treatment, but on a treatment on a certain period of time. So on the certain period of time, let's say they have a concourse of 6 months or a 1 year treatment. So this kind of patients need to be on a complete diabetic treatment. They'll have to go on their follow-ups, their food contains. So especially in insulin. So when they're taking their insulins, because this gestational diabetes it happens in an acute phase. So when it happens in an acute phase, the patient has to be on a very controlled diabetic medications or a diabetic diet. So this kind of patients, they must follow the actual food diets plus their insulins plus their diabetic medications and go on regular checkups, because when it happens on acute, this acute can even be very fatal. This gestational can be very fatal. So for an example, a mother for gestational diabetes, for a mother especially, she has to be on a long-term insulin throughout a pregnancy. But if she's going to miss it, she'll be having a diabetes baby where baby is going to be very big. So how she can prevent all this is to regularize on her insulin takings, follow up treatments plus medications. So this is the best way, because once the insulin starts shooting up, or once your sugar production is becoming more and more, it's not nothing else but you yourself have to help it. So if you can follow up with all the treatment, the gestational treatment, which has been given to you periodically, it can actually help you to prevent it from being prolonged, because this is an acute phase. So from acute, if it going into chronic, that means you have actually leave it to become chronic. But from acute, if you can stop it, that means you have already taken a certain plan, your medications, your insulin, to immediately stop it. You can't stop it then and there, but you will have to give yourself time to get it done better. Yeah.
Thank you, Melvinder, for the wonderful question. And Uh, with that, our question and answer session for today comes to an end. Once again, we would like to thank Ms. Joyclyn Ruby Nalla Thambi from the bottom of our hearts for spending your precious time with us here today. And I'm sure your words must have inspired and would have been an eye opener for many people out there, including myself. And it was truly an honor having you with us here today. Thank you so much, Ms. Joyce.
Thank you so much, Rashika, for having me with all of you. I hope to see you all soon also. Thank you so much. Thank you
Really
for
hope to
this
see
opportunity
you.
given as well.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now be having our merit giving out session for all UPM students. You can now scan the QR code on the screen and fill up the Google form accordingly. The link to the Google form will be given in the chat box as well. I would like to remind all of you that the form will be open for 3 minutes only. I repeat, the form will be open for 3 minutes only. With that, we have come to the end of our talk session today. Thank you all for the support. Stay safe, and we hope to see you soon. Bye bye.